Mr. Edit Man presents, what was a great idea until you actually did it? As a child I put water wings on my ankles, convinced I would be able to balance upright in a swimming pool. I vaguely remember thinking how incredibly smart I was. Needless to say, I needed to be saved from drowning when I became trapped upside down. I think I also vaguely remember the look on my dad's face when I explained what I was doing. That my son is an idiot, I should have left him under look. As a child, I wanted to see how the pepper grinder worked, so I held it up, looked up at the bottom of it, and turned the crank. It was then that I understood ground pepper. When I was 8 or 9, I went to the beach with my family. As I was splashing around in the water, I noticed a pelican bobbing around in the surf. As I was looking at the pelican, I remembered the scene in Jaws where the shark is pulling down the big yellow barrels. I thought, hey, that's a really cool scene. I'm going to pretend in Jaws and pull that pelican under. So, I got a big lungful of air, dove under, and made my way to the unsuspecting bird. When I was under the pelican, I grabbed its feet and gave it a good strong tug. What I did not realize is that pelicans are very buoyant, much more so than an 8-year-old. So instead of pulling the bird under, I shot to the surface like a cork. When I opened my eyes, the first thing I saw was the gaping maw of the pelican as it bit my forehead. I had a bruise for 2 weeks after. As a child, I superglued bouncy balls to the bottom of my shoes. I was utterly devastated at the result. Should have gotten moon shoes instead. Let's take some Everclear and blow fire. Few seconds later ... My face is on fire. Yeah, I have 2nd-degree burns around my mouth and all over my neck. But we do not need to go to the hospital. Let's just put some ointment on it and get back to drinking. Next morning decided I should have gone to the hospital. Waffle House before the Sats. Pizza Hut $5 pizza before prom ... Indian food before playing in a hockey game. I wanted to see how many times I could get a bouncy ball to ricochet inside my bathroom. Turns out if you throw it directly at the wall, it bounces back and smacks you in the eyeball. Bobbing for apples in a tub full of vodka. It sounds awesome until you put your face in and remember that you have eyes. So much pain ... Edit. I did not expect to get this many responses. The vodka was not wasted. It got turned into jungle juice and was thoroughly enjoyed by our party guests. Finding a pair crutches when I was a kid and my brain telling it ISN not that hard to go downstairs with crutches. The duck brain ... The duck man.
I'm betting you needed those crutches after that.
5 friends. 5 milkshakes. 1 with laxatives. Poulette. I'm playing Poulette wrong. 5 milkshakes with laxatives. 1 bathroom. See how creative your friends get. Time to play a rousing game of guess where I shat in your house. Here's a hint. It was not your toilet.
I'll give you a hint. Look in the house plants.
Typically, eating fast food. I'm not an elitist. Just have digestion problems. Walking 50 miles from my house to Lake Michigan because it sounded like fun. I could not move anymore after walking that far without a break. I ended up in a really bad neighborhood with nowhere to sleep. I had no ride to come pick me up. And worst yet, there was a giant fence plus woods on the other side that separated me from the lake, so I never even saw it. That would be a 16-hour hike. Keeping a 20-minute mile. Jesus dude. Throwing a blue shell while in first. That's why you drop back to second. Release the shell, then reclaim your rightful place in first. When I was in 10th grade, a friend and I were going to get a bucket and put it face down and blow up fireworks under it to see what happened. It was really cool because it left burn marks on the cement and it was really loud. So we started dropping multiple in at once. 1 firework bursted through the side of the bucket and came right for me and blew up next to my head, causing me to be deaf in one ear for a week. No regrets. We thought it would be fun to scrape off all the grey stuff from sparkler sticks, put it all in a mason jar and drop in a match. Result: frag grenade with glass shards as the frags. Christ. I did this, but with an aluminum thing I had my dad carve with a lathe. The explosion through the top was probably 15 feet high. I cannot imagine a glass container doing this. Me and 3 buddies got into 2 cars. Started driving on the opposite side of the road towards each other. Me and my friend in the other passenger seat lean out the window for a huge high five. Seconds before we did, my friend shouted 60 km/h. I almost cried at how hard the high five was. Edit. Never have I thought about how much could have gone wrong during this event.
How was that a great idea at any point?
Being towed on a bicycle by my buddy in a motorcycle. I lost control at 60 miles per hour. Somehow did not do any permanent damage, but my knee still hurts on cold days. Cheating. Now I'm never allowed to be banker again. I cheated at life once. I made myself in charge of the job cards, so I ordered them where I could be the cop and get paid when people spin a 10. I was a dirty pig. Also sold off some of my kids. Worth it. Saw an elongated bush in the shape of a twin bed while walking back to my dorm freshman year. It looked so comfortable. So I ran, jumped, and laid out as if I were plopping down on a couch. Bush jumping. Eating an entire chocolate cake in one go. That sugar coma went on for too long. When I was maybe 13 or 14 I was home alone and I realized the autonomy I actually had for the first time. So I decided to make some cookie dough. There was no one to keep me from eating as much cookie dough as I wanted. I did not need to put chocolate chips in it as their absence from the bag would be too conspicuous and they just get in the way anyway. So I gathered the ingredients on the counter and began measuring them out. I thought I should halve the recipe though, because despite my indulgence I still believed in having everything in moderation. But it was this small act of restraint that became my undoing. Fractions were never my strong suit. Somewhere in the math I messed up. The ingredients were all mixed together and the contents of my mixing bowl looked vaguely like the cookie dough my mother would make. I grabbed a big spoon and happily sat in front of the television to enjoy the best idea I had had in my life. I scooped a spoonful into my mouth and it was almost heaven. Oh my unending cleverness. My life laid out before me in a golden brown road with cookie dough caking my tires like mud. A second spoonful. A hesitation. A third spoonful I could not finish. A black cloud hung in the distance of my golden gifted future. I looked at my bowl and stuck in my spoon. The contents had gone ugly. My rose-tinted glasses fell from my face. It was tacky and thick like paste. It tasted salty and wrong. I had made a mistake. I took the bowl into the kitchen to try to dispose of it. I pulled the trash can out from under the sink. It would be too obvious in there. Mother would notice it and ask questions. I plopped a spoonful into the garbage disposal in the sink. It grinded loudly in the thickness of my unholy mess. Where could I dispose of this abomination? I took it onto our deck in the backyard. Throw it over the rail? Someone is bound to see a pile of dough in the grass. So I took it over to the side of the deck to the little yard where our dog would shite. She might eat it. Under the deck. She might smell it out and eat it. I dug a hole with the spoon in the dirt under the deck and buried the cookie dough. Listen. I dug a hole with a spoon and buried cookie dough in the ground. I did all of this as if it were the only option. For all I know it was. Liberal arts degree in English from a private university. Do what makes you happy, they said. I realized having $$ makes me happy. Whoops. When I was 5 years old I thought that stopping my bike while going down a hill by putting my feet in the spokes of the front wheel was a good idea. I ended up flipping the handlebars and landing in a thorn bush. I remember I burst out laughing. Probably because of the shock, haha. So there's this crane, right? And it's late at night. And I see this crane. And it's in a construction zone cause that's usually where you see cranes. Well, I decide I'm going to climb the ducking crane since I have never done it before. And I have worked out this elaborate plan in my head of how I'm going to sneak in over the fence and climb this crane. It'll take a picture from the top and be a Reddit legend, I thought. So I go home and change into nondescript hoodlum attire. The first inklings of trouble came when I went back outside and it was drizzling. No biggie. So we get a bit muddy. These are bad clothes anyway. Get to the construction site and see they left part of the fence unlocked. Well, that was easy. I slip inside and see someone on the outside of the fence. Instinctively, I drop down. By this point the drizzle has turned into straight up rain. I can feel the mud sticking to my clothes. But it's too late to turn back now. Trying to avoid another situation like that, I go down into the foundation of the building they were constructing. Bad idea. Imagine quicksand. Okay, now imagine that instead of quicksand it's mud. But it acts like ducking quicksand. My shoes are entirely caked in mud. And the front of my clothes are as well. I keep trudging on somehow and finally get to the crane. I shimmy up the fence around it and start climbing the ladder. I was too busy looking out for any cars and people that I forgot to look up. Until my head hits a grate at the top of the first ladder segment. I was up about 50 feet and I direct my gaze upward to find there's a metal blockade preventing me from going any further. It's locked. And so, caked in mud and broken dreams, I climb back down and trudge back across the mud to the fence. I slip out and see a person walking by. He looks at me, I look at him, and he just smiles and keeps walking. I go home and take a 30-minute long shower. No crane, no karma, only mud, and that was that. When I was 8, I attempted to staple a piece of paper to my hand so I would not lose it. If you are reading this, you watched until the end of the video. Smash that like button if you have enjoyed it. Bam. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else or watch more videos. That's about it. There is no more here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? This is not a secret, but subscribe for more videos like this.